Tell us a bit about the meetings, how they went, what you guys talked about, what sort of
Well, it was
any.
no, it was one of our ongoing meetings that we hold regularly with the main contributing nations for the counter Daesh campaign, getting an update on the situation, the military effort, but also the political situation as well, and looking at the regional efforts. Things are going well, and the Iraqi security forces are, on probably one of the most important operations. They have gained a lot of ground, had taken some casualties as well, but the plan is working extremely well. Allows us just to kind of keep up to date on what's happening and get ready for any adjustments that's needed, because we need to be able to look at eventually going from where the military is leading to where the military will be supporting those efforts, and that's always the main goal.
Does the situation at Aleppo within, falling to the government, does that change the equation to Raqqa and other efforts in Syria from the coalition's point of view?
I mean, from the coalition point of view and looking at the regional aspect, Syria, what's happening in Syria actually does have an impact. What's happening in Aleppo, I mean, it has a impact from a regional perspective, and it's extremely disappointing and sad, and to see the horrific results of choices that Assad and Mr. Putin is doing with Russia there. These atrocities need to stop, and we need to come up with a political settlement that's in the best interest of the people in Syria, first of all, and then looking at the regional political situation to help to bring stability into the area. Because at the end of the day, our main focus is to defeat Daesh, which we will, but we need to be able to defeat it in Syria as well. And regrettably, the complexity of the political dynamics that Russia has now put into this has made this even more difficult.
Can you give us a sense of what the coalition is asking Canada to contribute going forward?
For us, the contribution that we had made early on, we had already taken into account not just what was in the need at the early stages, but what the plan was moving forward. So we took all this into account very early on in terms of what type of intelligence assets were needed, what type of training components were needed for as the operation progressed towards Mosul. So we had taken a lot of this into account. In fact, I think we were singled out in terms of some of the type of intelligence capability that we had put in that has made a significant impact on operations. Our military liaison teams that are having that direct impact in Baghdad was working at the Ministry of Defense. So but when we already made some early adjustments from the previous meetings, for example, the Roll 2 Hospital was one example where we made those adjustments. We had put in the helicopters early on and tried to bring some additional training in before the launch of the operation. That was very important. Plus, the whole government effort that we're trying to put into this is, even though there's a military lead right now, the diplomatic and the humanitarian assistance that we had originally announced is now going to be needed extensively because of the displaced persons that are coming out of Mosul right now.
And in terms of Mosul, you mentioned Mosul. What contribution can Canada make to train the local Iraqi forces there when it comes to holding Mosul?
Well, first of all, we need to be able to clear Mosul. We have already done a lot of great work with professionalizing some of the Peshmerga forces. We will look at how the adjustments is going. Keep in mind, this is still the work is not done yet. This is going to be a tough fight because it's a tiered kind of a layered defensive position. So once that is complete, we got to make sure we have the gains. The police have to come in and making sure that the gains that we had, they're actually going to be secure. And then we'll look at what are the needs for the capacity building so that in the future we don't run into the same situation, which was the Iraqi security forces not being able to hold ground. But a lot of great work has been done, and we'll look at what those needs are.
You've said that Canadian forces are looking out past March 2017. How long can Canadians expect Canadian forces to be engaged in Iraq?
Well, from a government effort of what we're trying to do, military plays a piece to this. We will look at what resources will be needed. If there's capacity building work or training work that needs to be done, we will consider that. We know there's also the ministry liaison teams that are already doing some good work. Plus, we can't forget that policing is extremely important as well, and so we'll have to look at those efforts moving forward. We'll look at what adjustments that are needed, because we want to make sure the gains that are being created now are going to be sustained in the long term as well. So whatever capacity building that'll be needed, we'll look at it and have discussions as a coalition who can best fill those gaps.
So it may continue beyond the deadline then, you're saying?
Well, we will always assess. We have said this, that we will assess every single year, and if there's a need to be a responsible coalition partner, we will always assess that. We want to be able to defeat Daesh by making sure the Iraqi security forces can actually maintain their gains, and also not allow a situation like this to occur in the future either.
Can we ask on another topic, peacekeeping in Africa? I know you're probably tired of hearing this question, but anything new there? What can we expect? Anything?
No, as you know, this is a very important decision as a government for us to make. And a comprehensive approach, a whole of government approach, is very important to us. It has paid very good dividends on the plan that we created for Iraq and the regional impact. And we won't have the same impact going into peace operations. A lot of work has been done, but making sure that every department is able to synchronize the work, that we are able to discuss it within government, and then once we make a decision, we'll have a plan in place that engages parliamentarians, engages Canadians, to be able to answer the questions of where we're going, why we're going, and how we're going to do that. And we just want to make sure that we get to get that right, because it is an important decision. And if we taking the time now will just mean that we'll have a greater impact.
How close do you think you are to this? Any kind of time frame? This year, maybe?
We just want to make sure that we make the right decision moving forward and get the plan right.
Just ask you one last question about the meeting today. What, in your mind, after speaking with other ministers, what is the biggest takeaway from today going forward? What is the biggest change we can expect, or message that you want to send coming out of this meeting today?
I think for us is when we hold meetings like this at the minister's level, that it demonstrates the resolve and the cohesion that we have as allies. And this is an extremely powerful message, because we meet quite regularly. We look at what's happening on the ground. We get updated by the military commanders. We make adjustments. And that's extremely important, that we will be agile enough to make those adjustments. And I had a great discussion on how we will be, based on the great work and relationships that have been built here, that we will be agile enough to look at the future threats as well. But the goal is always, as we look at success in Iraq, we're talking about the displacement that potentially can occur, looking at the foreign fighters. So looking at a much more broader scope, to making sure that we could have the right prediction, making sure we have the right intelligence to be able to prevent any type of attacks back home, but at the same time, and not allowing any group to be able to get a foothold into any other parts of the world either.
How much discussion was there today about the fact that the incoming U.S. president has been extremely critical of the work of the coalitions and how that might affect the coalition's work going forward?
I think that one thing that we did talk about, no one disagrees with that. Daesh needs to be eliminated, and the importance of the work of this coalition. There's some significant gains that have been made, but when we conduct operations, we have to do it in a manner that's also going to look after the civilians as well. That we do it in a very strategical manner that takes out the Daesh's leadership, takes out their financial networks, but allows the people who are actually living there trying to flee, that they are not impacted. We want to do this in a responsible manner, and not. We're not going to be taking examples of what's happening in Aleppo a bombing of civilians. We have to be very responsible for this because the Iraqi government has to be able to rebuild and look after those people. I'm very proud of the work that has been done. I'm very proud of the work that our Canadian Armed Forces have played an extremely positive role in this coalition.
But are you concerned at all about the U.S. role going forward, given Trump and his approach to things?
I'm confident that the U.S. will be there when it comes to the fight against Daesh, because part of the reason we're also doing this is making sure that we prevent any attacks to our homeland as well. And the U.S. is definitely not immune to this, and it's extremely important that we have a very robust coalition that deals with this threat. Right now, the threat is so we've got to be able to look at other areas as well. I'm confident that the U.S. will be taking this extremely seriously and be a very responsible partner with us, as we've always been in the past, regardless of the administration that we've had.
Sorry, can I just go back to Aleppo for 1 second? I'm just curious how the coalition can deal with Islamic State and Raqqa, given what's happened in Aleppo. It's fallen to the government. It's under the Syrian government control. The Russians are backing them. I just don't know how you guys can operate under that kind of scenario.
Well, for us, in front of Canada, we're not no military impact. But from the coalition perspective, no, we can, because I think there is a consensus that Daesh does need to be eliminated and rooted out. So there is a consensus there, and Turkey has been directly involved, spoke with our counterpart from Turkey about this. And so there is a consensus there, regrettably, because of the civil war that within Syria, and what Assad is doing along with support of Russia is greatly complicating the political aspect and the challenges of what we're trying to do. And that is a matter that's connected, but at the same time different as well. And our Canadian position has been very clear about this: is that this needs to stop. It's absolutely horrific what's happening in Aleppo right now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.